Hey everyone, Charles here with Rocky Mountain, and today I'm going to be showing you how to balance a motorcycle or adventure bike wheel. Now with that, there's several different ways to get this done. There's ways you can do it without having any special equipment. That's going to be the options to my left. But one of the most common ways to get it done is the static balance. And that's the way we're going to show you how to do this first. So I have a balancing and truing stand right here. And to go along with that, you're going to need some weights. Now the weights you choose will be determined by the bike you have. So sport bikes, usually you're going to be using the stick-on weights, and cruisers or adventure bikes, usually you're going to be using the spoke weights. So again, that said, several options available on our website, and you want to be doing this anytime you replace a tire, or as your tire wears down and you feel a shimmy in the bars or vibration, you want to rebalance the tire. That's what's going on with our Africa Twin. So we're going to go ahead and remove the front wheel. We'll bring it over to the stand and show you how to do the static balance. Now for our balancing stand, first thing I want to do is make sure this rod is perfectly straight. Most of the time it will be, but sometimes these can bend and give you some weird readings. So I just run my hand across it, take a look at the ends, and if this is bent, you're going to see the ends going up and down. That's good. Now these cones, I usually leave one of these tight on here, and you'll get some wheels that, these cones, they sit against the wheel bearings, and sometimes you can't reach the set screw on these, so that's when you're going to use these side collars and tighten them down. You can use these for truing too. That's a whole nother video. So let me grab my wheel. Okay, first thing you want to do is remove the wheel spacers. They can be different from left to right depending on your machine, so make sure you keep track of those, keep them in order. And if you don't take those out, you can get some inaccurate readings. Now we can stick the rod through the wheel. And again, I already have this cone tightened down. And we don't need this side collar to hold the cone in. You can also use this to keep the shaft straight and centered inside your stand, but I'm actually not going to be using that collar. And then on the other side, I'm going to take the other cone. And then what I like to do is pull on the rod with one hand and then use the other hand to tighten down the set screw. This is just a 3mm Allen we're using. And we're going to set the wheel in the balancing stand. And I do want to point out that some people, they don't use these cones. They just slide the rod through the wheel and balance it that way. But I want to make sure everything is perfectly squared up, we're centered, and that way we make sure that everything is balanced accurately. Now, with that being said, if you have a brand new wheel or a brand new tire on your wheel, you want to remove all the old wheel weights. So for the stick-ons, that means scraping them off. We do have a specific scraper that it's a soft, kind of a rubber plastic material that gets in there and scrapes it off without marring up your wheel or damaging it. But for us, we just have these weights that they have the set screws. So these are the no mar wheel weights. Go ahead and remove those. So again, with a new tire, you always want to remove the weights. If you're just checking balance, you can leave the old ones on and see where it's at. But again, we're showing the full process of getting this done. So we've gone ahead and removed those. So from here, what I like to do, I'll divide this into quadrants. I'll just go every 90 degrees. So really you can start at any spot and kind of see where the heavy spot is. I'll kind of help it get there so it doesn't take forever. So right there, that's looking like the heavy spot. And you can use your chalk. Right here, I've got a dry erase marker. You can mark the heavy spot or the light spot, either one, but for me, it's easiest just to mark the lowest point. And then you want to verify that that really is the heavy spot. So I've moved that up 90 degrees. That thing's going to come back down to the bottom. I can go this way, make sure it still comes down. And I'll start with a little closer. So if it consistently goes to the same spot, you know you found the heavy spot. Now, if the spot keeps moving around, something's wrong. Either you're not centered up, you've got bad wheel bearings, or that shaft is bent. So start taking a look at those things. But with this consistently having that heavy spot go to the bottom, we know we need to counteract that. So from there, I'll take the wheel, I'll go up 90 degrees, let it drop, and kind of estimate, okay, this is going to be, I don't know, 1.5 ounces. So I'll try to go exactly opposite of my mark. So about right here, I'm just going to set this weight on. If you have stick-on weights, you can use some painter's tape and kind of tape those on to see how many you need. Okay, so this is still moving. So obviously we need to add more weight. So I'm going to try a little more. And you want to go to whichever spoke looks a little closer to 180 degrees from your heavy spot. So right there, nothing's moving. So now that I've found that spot with these Nomar weights, I can go ahead and tighten the set screw down. And then we're going to turn the wheel around in several different positions and make sure it doesn't move. If it moves, it means you need to make more adjustments. So we'll start up top. You can see this is moving really slow. So it's not perfect, but sometimes that's as good as you can get them. We might try to get it a little better. We'll see what it does on this other side. Doesn't move at all. We'll go straight down. Just barely moving. So that's really, really close. If we wanted to, maybe we think the smaller weight could move. What I can do is loosen it up, go to that other side, and see if that works out just a little better. So we'll go back to the top. So with this, no matter where we put it, it's not moving. We know we're good. Now, I do want to show you guys some other options you have for weights. So right here, I have a few options for the spoke weights. Now right here, this is the crimp-on style, and they work great, but it's not my favorite style because a lot of times people use channel locks or pliers to squeeze those down, and it doesn't look the best, and sometimes they're not crimped on all the way and tight, and they can be kind of loose. So if you have something smooth that can crimp that down and make it look good, then that's going to be a great option. You also have the chrome hammer-on style wheel weights. So these are going to fit the KLRs and some of the older Harley Davidsons. With that, you want a tool like this to hammer those down into place. And then right here, this is what we use. These are the Nomar wheel weights. And again, they have that set screw in there. You can get the brass or chrome plated. And most of these are going to come in size ranges from 1/4 ounce all the way to 1.5 ounces. Now moving on to the stick-on weights, you have several options for colors as well as size. Now if I bring these up to our adventure wheel, you can see we don't have a lot of surface area to stick these on. The wider ones definitely won't work. You could get the narrow ones to work, but since this is an adventure bike wheel, I just don't want something to kick up and knock the wheel weights off. So again, if you have the wire spokes, I definitely recommend using the spoke weights. But if you have a mag or cast wheel or a street bike, these are typically what you're going to be using. So from here, we can go ahead and remove the wheel. I'm going to put the collars back in and reinstall it onto the bike. And then we're going to move on and show you another way to balance a tire. Next up, we have our self-balancing options. So right here we have the Ride-On Tire Balancer and Sealant, and maybe a little more popular is the Dynabeads. Now in either case, these are self-distributing, so as your tire rotates, the product goes to the lightest part, and it's gonna give you that buttery smooth ride. And these are gonna work with tubes or without tubes, so whatever tire you have. And then application will be a similar process as well. You wanna refer to the chart and match that up with your tire size to make sure you get the correct amount in there. But with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the process on these Dynabeads. Now, to get these Dynabeads installed, whether your tire is tubeless or has a tube, it doesn't matter what you have. This is the most common way to do this. We're first looking at the width of the tire. So 150 millimeters wide. We're going to use our chart. We need to add 2 ounces. So we're going to cut the 2-ounce bag, pour those beads into our applicator, and then we can use the straw that came with the applicator. We're going to remove the valve core on the valve stem, and then I'm going to lean the tire against the wall, and I've got the valve stem to the side end, so it's kind of tipped back just a little bit since this is a 90-degree valve stem. Now we can use the straw for the applicator, and we can slowly pour these beads in. Now we also have an engraving tool to vibrate the valve stem, and that's going to help prevent these beads from clogging up in one spot. If that does happen to you, you can tap on it. Once you have the full dose installed into the tire, you can go ahead and reinstall your valve core and air it back up. Now, the other common method to get the Dynabeads installed is if you're mounting your tire up, you can go ahead and do everything normal, get it beaded up on both sides, and then lay the tire flat. You're going to break one side of the bead, pour the recommended dosage in, and then you can re-bead the tire. Now, if you're doing an adventure bike with a rim lock, we do recommend using the wire spokes, but if you are going to use the Dynabeads, you're going to add 1 ounce to your recommended dosage for each tire that does have a rim lock. Now, for any bikes that have a TPMS or tire pressure monitoring system, for the Dynabeads, they do recommend using a valve core with a filter. Sometimes you're not going to be able to fit one of those valve cores onto your valve stem. So if that's the case, what you can do when you check your tire pressures, you're going to rotate the valve stem to the 12 o'clock position, hit it with a blast of air, and then check the pressure. Now, if you're using the tire balance and sealant from Ride-On, this stuff is TPMS safe. So there you have it. Those are some of the most common ways to balance your motorcycle or adventure bike wheel. So if you have any questions about the static balance or using the self-balancing systems, leave those down in the comments. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video. And if you need any balancing items for your bike, you can find that stuff on our website. Just click the link in the description below. We offer free shipping on orders over $75. So take advantage of that and subscribe to our channel for more helpful content. I'm Charles with Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Thanks for watching.